You guys can see that hood marking, those pale bands on the body. This is the newly described Naja Fushi. How is that for a view, guys? And up ahead where you see all those dark clouds, that's where we're going tonight. Still grinding it out, the high elevations, trying to get those final montane targets. I'm so close to ticking everything off the list from this area. Just a couple species remaining up at the top, and we're gonna go hard for them tonight. So we'll start with some sunset cruising, see if anything's around, and then we'll get out properly in the nighttime. To say it's cold up here would be an understatement, guys. I had to wrap up my face, and I've got a hoodie and a jacket on top of a long sleeve. So I don't know how well you can hear me through this literal snake bag pillowcase I've wrapped around my face, but it is so cold. And yet somehow I guarantee there's going to be snakes active tonight. God, guys, it is so cold up here tonight. It's not surprising we're not seeing many snakes. Of course, got Mac. Oh, don't want to be defensive. Oh, now you want to be defensive. And of course, these guys literally never bite. They just put on a defensive thingy for show. And they flatten their head as well, which is kind of cool. You see? They flatten their head and make it look bigger. Cute little guy. Oh, so defensive. Such an evil slug snake. Evil slug snake. All right. All right, our hike actually turned something up, and it's my second Hebius igneus of the trip. This one a little bit smaller than the last one, but still pretty beautiful. This is the same stream where we got one on the last trip, and yeah, let's get this boy in hand. Ooh, there we go. Showing us some colors a little bit better. Good that we got one of the kind of area's uncommon snakes tonight, something that isn't typical. Only saw one of these on the entire two last trips I did to the area, so nice that these are active. Sometimes Hebius are easier to find when there's less. What is that animal? Oh, it's a night hornet. Bomberclat. Where were we? Yeah.
Oh, it smells.
Oh, yeah, it's musked. Hebius igneus in the flesh. Second one of the trip. Good find. All right, so walking around, we just got this brass, although really interestingly, if you look here, it doesn't have a red tail, which is one of the like all-time iconic distinguishing features of prass. Just doesn't have a red tail. It's all green, which is so similar to Mycterizans. But if you look at the head, you know, the head is very much prass-like, the more elongated snout. The color's very lime green as well. Quite an interesting individual. Divided anal plate. Not that that really means much. Like obviously we've seen the vine snakes, that's not a consistent trait, but yeah, gonna let this one go anyway, even though it's kind of interesting. So along the stream, we got this Parius bird moray, a species I knew occurred in the lower areas here, but still a new addition to the trip for me at least. It's a huge one too, more like Parius carinatus size than like the bird moray that we see in other parts of Thailand. Like it's honestly massive. Nice orange kind of venter too. But other than that, just a common slug snake, so not gonna spend too much time with this guy. Here's the endemic Certodactylus pucarensis. This one's missing a tail, so I'm not going to harass it. Just going to let it cruise off, and we get back to hiking. Further along the stream, I encountered this lovely green viper. Of course, it's Popiorum. This female's got a nice big meal inside her. You see the food bolus there. This is actually the first popes of any size worth looking at. So I figured I'd show this one, but I probably won't show any more because they're very abundant around here. But yeah, just letting her go back up a tree. All right, morning herping on the road has been, well, let's just put it this way, very unproductive for me on this trip. So I'm gonna go hit this stream here, see if I can turn anything up. Bamboo-Ticola, hopefully, but yeah, let's see what's around. Right, so the decision to switch things up after a string of unsuccessful morning walks paid off, and while walking along this, what's that noise behind me? Oh, it's just dragonflies. Yeah, it paid off, and I got this Rhabdophis nigricinctus. Not one of my targets for the area. I mean, these occur very widely in Thailand in evergreen forests, all the way from like northern Krabi to the furthest northeast corner of Thailand where we are right now. But they're not common at all in this area. This is the first one I've seen, although I did see a DOR when I was last here in the same area. We're at about 1,000 meters ASL, so that tells you about their habitat preference. I got my torch on here so you can see the colors. Not the prettiest one by any stretch of the imagination. Not much green, not much pink on the head, but still an uncommon keelback up here and a good sign, and very happy that walking during the daytime managed to turn something up. Here's one last look at it before I take a couple quick snaps on my camera here in the daytime and then let it go. It's not the most like remarkable species ever, but it would be good to get some photos of one from this part of Thailand. Maybe they're a little different here, I don't know. This one's a medium-sized one though, not the biggest I've ever seen, but decent size. Interesting find. Nice to start the morning off with a snake. Guys, finally, after so many afternoon drives of seeing nothing, Keith just found this crossing the road in the late afternoon. You guys can see that hood marking, those pale bands on the body. This is the newly described Naja Fushi mountain cobra. And I've actually, you guys remember I caught one of these up in this province last year, but it was a huge adult. This time it's only like a normal, smaller sized adult, so you can see the hood marking and see the cool bands on the body, which make it clearly different from Naja Calthea. As you can see, these are actually incredibly docile. The one I caught last time didn't hood up at all. And this one, like every now and again, it spreads the tiniest hood ever, but they're so incredibly docile. That's kind of a common trait with like mountain dwelling snakes in my experience, is that they tend to be incredibly docile. I guess it could be a byproduct of like the cold temperatures, making them pretty lethargic and like, but it also may just be like a coincidence, but it certainly tends to be the case. This one's really cool as well because it fades from pale brown to dark on the tail. So nice, and it's not small by any means. And I know, sorry guys for not like, I'm not able to give you like a awesome hooding up, angry, hissing cobra sequence. This is just how it is. Yeah, a car just drove past. We stopped filming to let a car drive past, and the cobras saw it and started hooding up. So yeah, you can actually see it hooding now. That's nice, at least. Oh, hello. It's got such a nice like orange coloration on the hood. These are distributed in upland, like hilly areas and montane areas throughout a lot of Thailand. Actually, their range is a lot bigger than we first thought when we kind of always suspected they were a different species, closer related to Naja atra, the Chinese cobra, you know, with these bands. But only this year, or actually late last year. Sorry, I had to let more cars go through. But yeah, only late last year was it described as a new species. But yeah, Keith, what did you think when you saw this crossing the road? Yeah,
the caffeine and the adrenaline absolutely flowing through my veins. Pulled the car over, nearly ripped the handbrake off its hinges, and then was able to grab it by its tail, because I actually got up and I didn't even have a chance to grab the hook because I was literally like shaking with adrenaline. So luckily I was able to catch it easy enough. And
yeah, luckily it's Fushi, which is like the most docile cobra species in existence.
Yeah, and like, I think it was about 4 hours before this, we were literally just talking about that, like this is what we want to find, and here it is. So yeah, absolutely delighted.
Yeah, another elapid species, another fantastic daytime find, guys. This is absolutely fantastic, and yeah, we're gonna let this guy cruise off the road after we take some photos in a nice shaded area nearby.
It's the first cobra I've found, so obviously delighted the fact that it's easy to work with, and you can see it's incredibly docile.
Probably your best find ever as well.
Oh, by a country mile, apart from that sunbeam in Hua Hin. Like, I love a good sunbeam.
Damn, guys, it's been a tough couple of days up on the mountain. So cold. It's cold even now, but we're in just like a slightly lower area, and this happened to be active in the late afternoon. It's almost 6 p.m. now, and we're going to get back to cruising, see if anything else shows up. If not, I'll catch you in the evening. All right, started off the very, very late evening with a snake crossing the road. Couldn't tell what it was at first, but it's this big Hebius carsiense. Kind of surprising considering it's crossing from just like, I don't know, not really any streams nearby. First time I've ever found the species crossing the road as well in my entire history of herping. But we saw one of these already on the trip, although this one's about 5 times the size. This is actually a very, very decent sized adult, which I would love to grab a picture of. But this is a great sign, because despite the weather seeming very good tonight, it's actually extremely cold up here. So yeah, let me see if I can take this little buddy on my hand. But yeah, snakes are moving before it's even got totally dark, which is a great sign. I'm going to show you guys that it's definitely Cassie. Look at that white vento of just spots on the side. Of course, the species doesn't bite, it's a Hebius. And I'm going to get cruising again. All right, just a little after dark. Next snake of the night is this little Macularius with a very dark head. Some pretty strong banding on the body though, but nothing like the incredible skull pattern they can occasionally have. These guys are so slow and dopey. Look at him go there. All right, I'm gonna chuck you off the road, buddy. Here's one of 4 green pit vipers tonight. It's another Gumprechtei female up here at the top of the mountain. I haven't been filming most of them, but I figured I'd just get the camera out for this one since I haven't seen anything for a minute, and it's just proof that we are finding snakes. Stuff seems to be active. Gonna keep going and hope some more stuff shows up. All right, here's something that's not a green viper or a slug snake. Just got a northern form Malayan crate. I've shown these once before on my channel last year when we went to Chiang Rai province. But yeah, just got this one here. You see these ones up here are very narrow bands compared to the ones elsewhere in the country, and typically a higher band count too. But yeah, even the bands on the neck are somewhat narrower, well, considerably narrower than ones elsewhere in the country. But if you look at the head, got that very, very recognizable kind of puppy dog stuffed animal eyes look, and that enlarged ridge, which give them a somewhat triangular look. Although not as triangular as other species like Slowinskii, Bungarus fasciatus, and even Bungarus flaviceps. It's the least triangular of all of them. But yeah, this is actually not too big, this one at all. Pretty decently small. It's probably the smallest one I've actually seen of these northern morphs. I've seen some pretty decent sized ones in my time coming here. Although I never got to film with any of them last year because it was David and Harry that cruised them, not me. But this time, cruised my own one. And it's got some nice creamish pattern on the neck. And I actually generally like these narrow-banded ones. They're quite clean looking, not too much black between the scales. But overall, I'm not the biggest fan of black and white snakes, unless it's Slowinskii. So, just gonna let this one cruise on. Let's see if we can get anything else tonight. Woo! Keith has cruised a massive Malayan crate here. Just caught up with him. Let me show you the size of this thing. Like, look at it. It's absolutely monstrous. I told you, Malayan crates never bite, do they? Oh, I just saw some mouth open action. Yeah, he's opening his mouth, look. Oh, he got me. Just kidding, guys. It's a Chappa wolf snake. Lycodon chapaensis, and the biggest one I've ever seen in my life. I told Keith that these are so similar to Malayan crates, like scarily similar to the Malayan crate we saw from earlier. And I mean, you would concur, right?
I would concur.
How much would you concur?
Oh, almost to the point of misidentification. Let's
Yeah.
just say almost.
Yeah, Keith would never misidentify a snake, would he? The guy's the absolute goat, like. Okay, en route back to the house, and what will very likely be the last find of the night, Keith got this little many-spotted cat snake. First alive one I've ever seen in Nan province. Let's see if we can get it in hand. Like, when we picked it up off the road, it bit the crap out of me. But let's see if I can get him sitting comfortably, or is he just gonna bite? Let's see. Okay, what are we working with here? We're working with a very beautiful many-spotted cat snake. That's what we're working with. Again, these northern forms are so much nicer than the one we get down in Hua Hin, like significantly so. I mean, those big black square, sort of circly square patterns on them. You're gonna bite me, aren't you? Very, very high contrast. They get a bit bigger too, although I haven't seen a big one in this area, but in the west, like you saw in the last video from Western Thailand, which was a couple videos ago, they're huge. But yeah, let's take a close look at this guy before we wrap up for the night. Lovely mini spotted cat snake. I know a lot of people are big fans of the Boigas, and I'm certainly no exception to that. I appreciate these snakes greatly, and it's a great addition to the trip. But yeah. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight. And what a video it has been. What a time here in Nan. It was great to see Keith. It was great to see some incredible snakes. Wasn't the most productive trip in terms of numbers and species, but quality was fantastic. Some real highlights. So without further ado,